In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast, I'm going to share my thoughts on some players that I am higher on than the consensus. So stay tuned to find out which guys I think are better than where most mock drafts and big boards have them ranked. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I am your host, Rafael Barlowe, solo. I'm here solo dolo because I'm giving you bits and pieces of my Big Board 3.0 that dropped last week. And before I get into this episode, I want to let you know that it is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Also, I want to let you know about the Locked On newsletter. Check it out at lockedondaily.com. It is a one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage. It is delivered to your inbox every single day. So check it out, lockedondaily.com. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, I'm not sure what's taking so long. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop an episode, because we are your daily source for NBA draft content. All right, let's get right into it. So last week I released my Big Board 3.0, and my big boards are always fluid. They're always changing. Sometimes it's just because I've went back and watched more film on guys, and it's just natural for me to change how I feel about different prospects as the season progresses. I mean, there's some guys that I really liked in non-conference play. They're struggling in conference play. And then there's some guys that got off to some slow starts that are playing well in the conference games. So, like I said, it's going to be fluid. And I know when you make like big boards and mock drafts, and people are going to heavily disagree with you. So I'm just letting you know that if you disagree with me, that is okay. The opinions I express are mine and clearly mine. So let's get right into it. All right, so the first player that I am higher on than the consensus that I think is a player that other people are just kind of sleeping on. And I get why. I totally understand why. But the player that I like more than most is French prospect Noa Essengue. Noah is playing in Germany right now. The Radio Farm team, I love what they're doing. There's probably one of the few, if not the only team in Europe that really gives young players an opportunity to rock out and play. And I love what they're doing. If I were an agent, if I were controlling or working with a young player in Europe that I think has a chance to be drafted, I am sending them to Radio Farm. I mean, you look at just, over the past few years of players that they've given an opportunity to play through mistakes. And they've had some guys that were selected in the first round. And I think this year they could have two possible first-round picks in Noa Essengue and Ben Saraf. But I'm going to get why I like Noa Essengue. 6'9", 195. He's real thin. And I think he's definitely an acquired taste, because if you look at his game, you can't say like he is a really good shooter or a really good ball handler or a really good playmaker. But he's very, very productive. He just finds a way to put the ball in the basket. And we got a sneak peek of his potential when he had 20 points and 8 rebounds against the Portland Trail Blazers in a preseason game. Again, he was 17 years old. Yes, I understand that the Blazers are not like this NBA juggernaut, and I think they were missing a couple players. But still, at 17 years old in an NBA game, even though it's an exhibition game, 20 points, 8 rebounds, and he's just been highly productive, not only in his exhibition game against the NBA team, but he's been productive playing in the Euro Cup for a team that is a respectable team in Germany. What I love about him is that he just finds ways to contribute. He gets to the foul line, and I think he has a lot of upside. And then defensively, on the defensive end, I think he has a chance to be really good, even though, again, I know he has a thin frame, listed at 6'9", 185. But I've had some NBA scouts tell me that they think he could be a Tayshaun Prince defender. Now, I get why his archetype may be something that other people may be a little hesitant, because he doesn't have a skill set right now that he can possibly hang his hat on, other than the fact that he plays hard. But the way I look at it is I see this guy that is productive as a teenager. If you could just add a little bit more to his game, what can he be? If he develops a reliable jump shot, add that on with his motor and his natural instincts of being able to be in the right place at the right time, get fouled, get downhill, you have something there. If he adds a better handle, if he adds some weight. So I think based off of just his potential and what he has shown and how he's been productive without a skill set to hang his hat on, I think once you give him some of that, I think that he has a chance to be one of the better players in this draft class. And that's why I actually have him at number 8 on my big board 3.0. That is Noa Essengue, representing France. And France has, strong track record of first-round picks in the last few years. And I think Essengue is going to be the next French prospect, or at least I would select him in the lottery. Maybe some other team agrees, but I think that he is going to be, or should be, the next prospect from France that is a lottery pick. And another thing I actually heard from an NBA team, they said he was good against the Blazers. And that is the worst that he is going to be. He's only going to get better. So that is another reason why I like Noa Essengue. All right, the next prospect that I'm higher on than the consensus is a player that you've probably never heard of. I don't even see this guy on any draft boards. I don't see him on any draft boards, and I think people are totally sleeping on him, and that is Cedric Coward from Washington State. Now, Coward is out for the year. He was limited to just 6 games this season, but I'm high on him, not just based off of what he did in the 6 games at Washington State. I'm more so high on him based off of the production that he showed last year at Eastern Washington. So Cedric Coward is a 6'6", 205-pound wing with a massive wingspan. I've heard that his wingspan is reported at like 7'1" or 7'2". So not only does he have the physical tools and the positional size that you look for in a wing, but he's got some skills, and he can shoot the ball. Has a very unique story. Started off at I think it was like a Division III school or NAIA school at Willamette. Then he transferred to Eastern Washington, and then he ended up transferring to Washington State this year. And last year at Eastern Washington, he averaged 15 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, and 1.9 stocks per game, while shooting 38% from 3 on 4 attempts per game and 89% from the foul line. And then in the 6 games that he played this year, he averaged 17 points, 3.7 assists, 1.7 blocks, 0.8 steals. He shot 40% from 3 on 5 attempts per game. What I like about Coward is, 1, the positional size. He's a good athlete. He is a guy that fits the mold of like your 3-and-D wing. He is a player that can also post up. Now, I don't know if he's going to do it on the NBA level, but when I watched him on the college level, he posted up smaller defenders. He has a mid-range pull-up. He gets to his spots. Mid-range Kawhi Leonard-like fadeaway jumper from the mid-range. And he's very efficient, not only as an efficient scorer, he's like an efficient ball handler. Doesn't waste a lot of dribbles, doesn't dance with the ball. Now, I admit, I like some players that kind of boogie and dance with the ball, but Cedric Coward has a little bit of Kawhi Leonard in him, in my opinion. He's getting to his spots in 2 dribbles or less, very efficient, shoots over the top of defenders using his massive wingspan, knockdowns, open threes, and I think that he is going to be a switchy defender that is going to be able to defend all over the floor. He will be ready for the NBA Combine, so I think that you're going to start hearing more about him around the Combine in May. But Cedric Coward is a player that I am higher on than the consensus, and I actually have Cedric Coward at number 16 on my Big Board 3.0. So check it out. If you're not subscribed, go to NBABigBoard.com. It is my newsletter. It is behind the paywall. It is kind of how I pay my bills so I can travel and go see a lot of these players in person. But again, NBABigBoard.com, where I have my Big Board 3.0. So far, I've released my top 50 prospects. I've given a lot of detail about the strengths or what I like about each player and the concerns. So again, NBABigBoard.com. It's not even a shameless plug. I am plugging it. All right, up next, I'm going to talk about a few more players that I'm higher on than the consensus. All right, let's talk about DoorDash. If you are an NBA fan, get ready, because if they score, if they get big buckets, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It is very simple. When a player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members, hard to say that fast, Dash Pass members would get 50% off an order and up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. So here are a few ways you can take advantage of this deal. You have the game day feast. After an epic 50-point performance, celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, or burgers from your favorite spot, delivered straight to your door. If you have late night cravings, whether you're staying up watching highlights or you're watching West Coast games and you live in the East Coast or the Midwest, and you need a midnight snack, use Dash Pass to grab something delicious while saving big. So sign up for Dash Pass, and be ready to save. When a player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members will get 50% off on orders the next day and up to $10 off. Use the promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. You must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. All right, second segment. The next player I want to talk about is San Diego State wing Myles Byrd. Myles Byrd is a player that is drawing a lot of attention with his play this season. I was at Basketball Without Borders All-Star Weekend. I was talking to some scouts and different people about some of the next games that they plan on going to. And the big trip that you're going to see a large contingent of NBA scouts is at the San Diego State versus UNLV game. Of course, Vegas is a place where everybody wants, not everybody because I hate Vegas, but Vegas is a place where it's easy to get into. It's a place where scouts would love to evaluate basketball. And San Diego State and UNLV is coming up, and there's going to be a large contingent of NBA scouts in attendance to watch Myles Byrd. And also San Diego State has a guy named Magoon Gawath, who I think scouts are intrigued by. But Myles Byrd is a 6'7", 190-pound sophomore at San Diego State. He'll be 20 on draft night. He is a redshirt sophomore. He was on their team. I think he played like 4 games on the team that went to the Final Four. Played last year. Only averaged like 4 points a game as a sophomore last year, and then has emerged as a legitimate, in my opinion, first-round pick with his play this season. Now, the reason why scouts love him is because of his combination of positional size, physical tools, and his skill set. Now, offensively, he's not the most efficient scorer. He's shooting only 39% from the floor, 33% from 3. He got off to a hot start, and he has definitely cooled off over the last few weeks. But the intrigue is on the defensive end. He's averaging 2.1 steals and 1 block per game. He had a massive monster game against Colorado State. It was back in January where he was matched up against Nick Clifford. And he had 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 steals. And I thought he did a phenomenal job defending Clifford in that game. Offensively, while the efficiency isn't there, he shows flashes as a guy that can create his own shot, that can shoot the 3 a little bit. He can make plays out of pick and roll. Very intriguing. Has a long way to go on the offensive end, but I do think that he's a little bit better than the efficiency numbers indicate. I mean, he's had some rough outings. He had a 2-for-11 game against Colorado State last week. He had a 3-for-13 game against Nevada, 2-for-9 game. So he's had some games over the last few weeks that have made his percentages plummet. But defensively, with his size, combination of athleticism, I think he's going to be a switchy defender. But I do think that he is going to eventually be able to make plays out of ball screens, knock down open shots, and create for himself. May not have to do it at a high level in the NBA because defense is going to be his calling card. But Myles Byrd is a player that I am a little bit higher on than the consensus. I think he is a top 25 pick, and I have him ranked at number 22 on my big board 3.0. All right, another player that I really like, and I'm a big fan of his game, is Sergio De Larrea from Spain. Now, I had the opportunity to watch him play. It was at Basketball Without Borders. I want to say it was 2022, early 2022. It was in Serbia. And this is a tournament that featured Nikola Topic, Zachary Risachet. Off the top of my head, I feel like there's another player that played in this particular tournament. And my favorite player in this tournament, the guy that I liked the most, was Sergio De Larrea. He is a 6'6" point guard. He has excellent positional size for a point guard. He has advanced court vision. He is the type of playmaker that passes guys open, gets guys open looks. He makes high-level reads, and I love Spanish point guards. And he has like the flash and the flair. He's fun to watch. Makes passes from just all these weird angles, whether it's an overhead pass, a live dribble, skip pass, hook pass, pocket pass, underhand scoop pass. He finds angles to get the ball in. He squeezes them in tight spaces. And he is, in my opinion, one of the best playmakers in this draft class. He's never really in a hurry. You can't speed him up. Just plays with excellent pace. And he's played very well this season playing in Spain. He's playing for Valencia in Spain's top division. And I'm not surprised by his production. I've been high on him since I saw him. I spoke with a scout last year, and I was asking the guy, why was Juan Nunez getting more love than Sergio De Larrea? I was asking him if I was off base, and he said, no, you're not. He says De Larrea is the better player. He just hasn't had the opportunity. Well, he's made the most of his opportunity this year in 27 games. The numbers aren't going to wow you. He's averaging 5 points. And 5 points playing in Spain's ACB as a young player is actually a lot of points because they don't really trust young players to play heavy minutes. Right now, he's playing about 12 minutes per game, but he's shooting 50% from the floor, 45% from three. He's had some strong performances, and I think that with his size, his playmaking, and even some of the experience that he has, makes him an intriguing prospect. Decent speed, decent athlete, not what you would consider like a high-level NBA caliber athlete by any means. The concerns that I've had for him in the past was I didn't think he was a good finisher around the rim, and he needs to improve as a shooter. But these concerns were when he was 17 years old. He's made a lot of improvements this year. He's shooting 45% from three, like I mentioned. If there is a concern that I have is that he hasn't had like the strongest performances in some of like the FIBA international games representing Spain. He hasn't been really good statistically, but overall, I think this year playing in Spain's ACB, which in my opinion is the best domestic league outside of the NBA, he's been productive. He's shown some flashes. With his size and his passing, I think that he is a legitimate first-round contender. And I don't know if he's going to be a first-round pick. I have him at 32, but I think he's definitely in the conversation to be a first-round pick in the 2025 NBA Draft. Sergio De Larrea from Spain. Right, when we return, I have one more prospect that I want to talk about that I am higher on than the consensus. But before we get into the last segment, let's talk about FanDuel, our sponsor for today. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there is not a better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, which is America's #1 sportsbook. And with FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you missed the opening tip, you can still place bets on a fourth quarter comeback so you can stay in the action all game long. And if you are looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay. And right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com to join today for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. So make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, last player that I want to talk about. I have him at number 38 right now because I do not know how his injury is going to impact his draft status or what, but it is Donnie Freeman from Syracuse, 6'10", 215 pounds. I think he is one of the more naturally talented and skilled players in this draft class. I'm a big fan of his long-term potential. Now, on paper, Freeman had a very productive freshman season, averaged 13.4 points, 7.9 rebounds. He shot 50% from the floor and 33% from three and 79% from the foul line. I thought that was a good freshman year. It was overshadowed by Syracuse's struggles because as of today, Syracuse is 11-16. But I thought he showed some flashes. I'll put it like that. I thought he showed some flashes. What I like about Freeman is that he's long, he's athletic. I think that he has the potential to be a really good finisher around the rim. I love the mobility and coordination for his size. Best case scenario, he's going to be able to play and defend both forward spots. He can finish in transition. I think that he has good touch around the rim. I see him as a potential like pick and pop threat that can also put the ball on the floor and attack closeouts. Pretty decent ball handler. I think that long term he'll be able to grab the rebounds, push the ball up the floor, and he has the tools. He has the tools, in my opinion, the tools. I'm going to say it again, the tools to be a multi-positional defender. The problem is the stats just don't show it. Now, if you go just by the accounting stats, then it doesn't look like he was a productive defender as he averaged 0.4 blocks per game and 0.4 steals. So if you combine his stocks, it is less than 1 per game. But that's why I said he has the tools to be a good defender. I would love to see him become a little bit better on the defensive end. He also shows flashes of being a connective passer. I know when he was at IMG on the high school level, he had a positive assist-to-turnover ratio. It was underwater his freshman year as he averaged 1.8 turnovers per game. But he is a player that I am higher on than the consensus. Unfortunately, he's out for the year, like I mentioned, with the lower leg injury. I don't know how that's going to impact his draft status, if he'll even test, if he's going to come back to school. But I love the potential. I like guys that are 6'9", 6'10", 6'11", athletic wings that can play the 3 and the 4, space the floor, and put the ball on the ground and attack closeouts, maybe rebound and run and score in transition. And Donnie Freeman fits the mold of the type of players that I would like to have on my roster if I were a team, or even if I were an agent. If I were an agent, I'd run my agency like a team. I'd have, certain players that I would favor more than others, and Donnie Freeman is the type of player that I would go after. Again, high upside, had a productive freshman year. It just was on a losing team, but I felt like he was getting better as the season went on. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast. I actually have a few more players that I'm higher on than the consensus, so stay tuned for that episode. But once again, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Check out the Locked On newsletter, LockedOnDaily.com. Again, one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox every single day. Stay tuned for the next episode. We're coming at you all weekend long. Peace.